Before we get into today's video, I do want to let you guys know that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance in hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week so far, and we're about to get into it in this video here. So we are going to be talking about kind of like an update and things that are going on with the Menendez brothers. I wanted to preface this by pinky promise me you're not going to get mad, because listen, this is one of them situations where people have very differences of opinions. I did a video on the Menendez brothers case/trial a couple years ago, and I really went into depth. I want to say it was almost an hour long, if I remember correctly. I'll leave it linked down below if y'all want to go and watch it. Now, you can watch all these documentaries on the Menendez brothers, and there's quite a bit of them out there, but nothing is going to give you the picture of what these young men went through other than watching the trial and hearing it from their mouths theirself. And just I'm going to give you like a real rundown in the beginning of this video before we get into the updates and how I feel and if my opinions have changed on the Menendez brothers and And I know some of y'all got very differences of opinions in me in this. I know it. I've seen y'all in the comment section on Instagram when I'm commenting on stuff, and I'm just going to let y'all know I'm going to tell y'all exactly how I feel. And if you get mad and you storm out and slam the door on your way, just want you to know I love you. It's okay. I forgive you, and I will see y'all back on Friday. Okay, so other than that, we're going to talk about this. Just a quick little rundown. The Menendez brothers. Lyle, who was born on January 10th of 1968, and his little brother, Eric, was born on November 27th of 1970. These boys, the Menendez brothers, are now 55 and 52 years old. These are grown behind men, okay? These could be grandpas at this point, and they have been sitting in prison since 1996. On August 20th of 1989 is when these two boys were accused of taking the lives of both of their parents, Jose Menendez and their mother, who goes by Kitty, or went by Kitty Menendez. The Menendez brothers were 21 and 18 years old at the time, and people would have considered them back then, when they were 18 and 21, spoiled little rich boys, okay? Their daddy was a real big producer and all these like music industries and all of this stuff. They were living in Beverly Hills in a 9,000 square foot mansion. I mean, talking about in the 1980s, honey. They was driving the nicest cars. They were in a gated community. Have you been to Beverly Hills? I mean, for a shack in somebody's backyard, it's going to cost you at least $1.5 million. They were living in a 9,000 square foot house in Beverly Hills, and they grew up rich. However, money don't buy everything, and money doesn't mean that you're happy. But back then, a lot of people just considered them to be spoiled little rich boys and kind of just wrote off any of the actual stuff that these brothers had went through. Now, just to give y'all a quick rundown on the parents, Jose Menendez, again, was a producer. He was the chief operating officer at RCA Records for years. He would help sign bands like Duran Duran. Y'all know who Duran Duran is? If you don't know who Duran Duran is, get you some headphones after you're finished watching this video and listen to this song right here, Come Undone. I mean, it's next level, okay? So he signed bands like Duran Duran. Jose Menendez was in the upper echelon. He had a lot of power and a lot of pull, and he was into a lot of things. His wife, Kitty Menendez, she used to be a school teacher, but after she gave birth to their first son, she became a homemaker or a stay-at-home mom. If you guys don't know, again, go watch my other video. It has all the details in it. I put clips of the court testimonies and all that stuff, or you guys can even go to Court TV and watch the whole entire first trial that happened. That's what I did. I watched hours and hours of the trial. I could not look away, and you'll find out the whole story. But to make this short and sweet, the two boys ended up taking the lives of their parents. It was considered to be a very gruesome scene. And then the two boys called 911 saying that they had just arrived to the home, found their parents like this. They were screaming, crying, and sobbing. The police came, and the crime scene was so messy, they actually believed that this was like a mob hit on Jose. And that's what they believed for a while, until stuff came out, and it's all in my first video, and the boys ended up being arrested for the crimes. When they went to trial, this is when all the things came out about what Jose had been doing to his sons. And it's beyond brutal to listen to. It is graphic and so hard, and it happened for all the way up until they were older. If y'all want me to show y'all some of the worst clips over on my Patreon and we can discuss them over there, that's fine. Patreon is linked down below. If you come over to my Patreon, let me know that that's what you guys want. But other than that, we'll just keep rolling here. So the boys had their first trial, and in the first trial, which is the one that y'all can watch on Court TV, this is when we learned all the stuff that the boys say happened, and I do believe them. It ended up being a hung jury. The second trial that happened, the judge would not allow cameras in and would not allow the boys to talk about what had happened to them when they were children. And because they left all of that part out, which led up to what happened, it reminds me a lot of the Gypsy Rose situation. You guys remember the Gypsy Rose situation where her mother had the Munchausen's by proxy disorder, and she had had her daughter in a wheelchair, which she didn't need to be in a wheelchair, and had her taking all this medication, all this stuff for all these years. And Gypsy actually believed she was ill, and once she realized that her mother had been faking it her whole entire life and they had a disagreement, she snapped. She ended her mother's life, and she got sentenced to prison for a short sentence. Well, these boys snapped, and they ended up getting sentenced to prison for life. Recently, a new Peacock documentary has come out, and in this documentary is where another boy, who is now also a grown man, who was signed to one of these bands or boy bands or whatever that was under Jose Menendez, the Menendez boys' father, has come out and in the documentary said that Jose Menendez took advantage of him too. A lot of people are saying, why didn't he come out sooner? I do have that question as well. Okay, why didn't he come out sooner, especially during the trial? But we don't know what was going on in his life then. Was he in the music industry? Did he not want to come forward? I know for sure that a lot of men and boys do not tell when this type of thing happens to them, especially back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. You know, there's people watching this right now that will never speak of the things that has happened. Okay, so I can understand for whatever reason why he didn't come out, although we wish he would have during the trial. And there's probably other victims too of Jose Menendez. I think he was an evil man. So this guy that came out's name is Roy Rosella. He was part of the boy band or the boy group Menudo. Menudo was a Puerto Rican boy band formed in 1977 by music producer Edgar Diaz. The original lineup featured 5 boys in the early teens and became an international sensation by the early 1980s. Ricky Martin even had a part of this group. I mean, this was a very well-known and sensationalized young boy band group back then. However, once these group members reached the age about 15 or 16, they would be phased out and replaced with younger group members. Okay, so they didn't want this group to be too old. They wanted them to be very young, and so they would just swap them out for younger members. Now this Roy, the one who is now accusing Jose Menendez as well, said that he joined Menudo when he was just 13 years old. And Roy alleges that he was actually SA'd by that Edgar Diaz, the producer of the group, for 3 years. Roy also says that Edgar, the producer, is the one that took him over to Jose Menendez's house. So it almost gives me, this vibe that you've got this producer that's got these young little ones in this group, right? And they're doing whatever, and then they phase them out, You know, it's giving very R. Kelly. It's giving, like, this type of thing really happens. And it happened especially back then, right? When there wasn't like the internet to connect to people, or people really wanted their kids to be a star. So they would go and drop their little ones off with producers for 3 or 4 days at a time. Or you even hear the stories about people dropping their kids off at Michael Jackson's house and letting them stay. Now, no matter what you believe really happened, you still think you would not I wouldn't drop my child off, you know, just to spend the night with Michael Jackson, sleep in the bed for 3 or 4 days. But that's what happened back then. And that seemingly is what was happening in this genre of music as well. So this Diaz, this producer, was doing whatever with Roy for 3 years, and then takes him over to Jose's, where Jose allegedly slipped something in his drink and completely just had his way with him as well. So now that this has come out, this has given a glimmer of hope to the Menendez brothers that they could possibly get like another appeal. The issue is the Menendez brothers have exhausted all their appeals. And my heart does hurt for them because they're in their 50s, you guys. And mind you, these boys grew up together. They did everything together. Were they spoiled little punks in certain ways when they were younger? Yeah, I'm sure, because I think that their parents overcompensated because they knew what was going on in secret. Therefore, they gave them anything and everything that they would want. That way at nighttime, when old Jose snuck into the bedroom, everything stayed kosher out in public. But nevertheless, when they got sent to prison in 1996, they were separated. They stayed separated in the prison system all the way until 2018. They did not see each other. So over 20 years. So not only did they go through everything they went through when they were little and in their home, but then they go into a prison system and the boys are separated. They don't see each other for 20 years. So in 2018, when the two now grown men, I keep wanting to say boys because I still see them as the Menendez brothers, but I mean, again, they're grown. In 2018, when the Menendez brothers showed up at the same prison together, the guards and other people that were affiliated with them ended up getting them together. They took Eric and they sat him in a room, and then they led Lyle down the hallway in the prison to the room. And when they opened the door, oh my gosh, I just cannot imagine. When they opened the door and the guys seen each other, they rushed over to each other and just hugged each other and just started crying. They said that they held each other crying for like 2 minutes, which is a long time when you're in that emotional state, before they even said a word to each other. They had not seen each other in over 20 years. Everything that they had been through, man, that had to be an electrifying moment. And then the guards and them did let them sit there and talk for an hour. But I do believe the brothers are separated again. So what do I think? Okay, do I think they deserve another trial? Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. I think that it's terrible what happened with the trial. Do I think that they should be let out? My heart says yes. They've served enough time, let them out. But what I do believe, and this is just my unprofessional opinion, I think a psych evaluation, real psych evaluation should be done on them. And I also think that to find out how they're doing in the prison should matter as well. Because, I mean, you know, we don't know them. They do seem wonderful. They seem kind. Every interview that I've heard, one of them's been married for over 20 years to the same woman, by the way. Everything that I've seen online seems that they are doing good, which sucks that they're in there. However, if you got underneath the level of the media and we found out that they're in prison committing and other crimes, and then you do a psych evaluation and you find out that they're like psychopaths or something, then it may be safer for them to be in there. So I do think that those things should play a role as well. But if they've been in there healing and doing the work and staying out of like the big trouble, I mean, you're going to get in trouble regardless in prison. You're going to get some kind of contraband, some kind of stuff, you know, those little things I wouldn't be worried about. I'd be worried about more of like that violent things. But if they've been in there for 30 years in one of the most aggressive places in the world, and they're not committing like serious stuff, and they go to trial and the trial comes out that they should have gotten manslaughter, which is what I think. I don't think that they should have gotten away with it, but I think that they should have got like 10 or 15 years. You can't sit there and do that to your own offspring over and over and over again. Eric said in one of his trial testimonies that as a kid, he would eat lemons on everything. So he would lose his taste in his mouth. That way, when he had to taste his father's bodily fluids, it wouldn't taste as bad.
What had you resolved to do by way of fighting back?
I didn't really know what to do.
What did you do?
I hid from him. I put cinnamon in his drinks, and his coffee, and his tea.
Why did you put cinnamon in his drinks?
Well, at the time, I was in 7th grade, and I had a group of kids, friends of mine, that were really involved. No, they weren't involved, but they talked a lot about sex, and it made me very uncomfortable. So I would sort of shy away and just listen.
And what did you hear that led to putting cinnamon in your father's drinks, if anything?
I heard that it made it taste better.
It made what taste better?
His semen.
And so you did it so it would taste better?
Yes.
Now, was it at some point after you were 11 years old that you developed a rather peculiar eating habit?
Yes.
What did you do?
I used a lot of lemon in my food.
And what do you mean by used a lot of lemon? What are we talking about here?
Well, in essence, I would put the lemon in the bowl first, and then put whatever I was going to put in the bowl, like fish or rice or whatever. Sometimes I'd just pour the lemon over the food if it was already on the plate, but otherwise I would just drown my food in lemon. I did it for a specific purpose, but it didn't seem to work all that well.
What was the purpose for which you were doing it?
So that I wouldn't have to taste my dad's.
Okay.
This is horrifying stuff. Now, when it comes to their mother, Kitty, I feel like she looked the other way, man. And some of y'all have been in those situations. Some of you guys know what it's like to have a woman in your life look the other way. And in my opinion, if you're looking the other way, you are just as compliant as the person that's guilty. And so I think that it should be reevaluated. I think the boys snapped, and I think it built up over years, and I think it should be reevaluated. That's my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Some of y'all are mad at me. I love y'all anyways. I love y'all. See y'all all on Friday. Thank y'all for being here, and I'll be reading y'all's comments to see what y'all think. Love y'all. Bye.